Something strange is going on with the Buffalo Bills coaching staff as some playing time has dropped from their star running back, and recent quotes from head coach Sean McDermott have left fans wondering, is there beef within the coaching room? Hello everyone, Josh Schreiber here for Bills Digest, and today we're going to be talking about some weird quotes that head coach of the Buffalo Bills, Sean McDermott, mentioned after the Atlanta Falcons loss on Monday Night Football, as well as throughout the week during their bye week here. And let's dive right into it. Before we do, though, about 84% of you guys are not subscribed, so please make sure to hit that subscribe button and follow along because we've got plenty of Bills content for you throughout the bye week and throughout the rest of the year. Well, this quote came out after the Bills lost on Monday Night Football against the Atlanta Falcons. For those of you that watched the game, there was a very questionable decision by Joe Brady, the offensive coordinator of the Bills, to run an end around to Elijah Moore on 3rd and 1 instead of just going straight up the middle. It ended up losing 4 yards, and there was a fumble on the play, which was recovered by the Bills, but it was a play that was highly criticized by Bills Mafia as well as the media. And when asked about it, Sean McDermott said, "We're better than that," while talking about Joe Brady. And he later went on to make another quote about it where he said, and this is really the full extent of it, but he said, "Joe is a great offensive coordinator and play caller. But you go through a game and there are always plays you want back. He knows how I feel about it. We talked about that again this morning. I remain confident in him putting us in good position." Now, this quote sounds like it was kind of an overblown situation, but this was the second time that Sean McDermott mentioned this play and how it was unacceptable in that given moment. This was a quote that came the day after. This was on Tuesday afternoon when he just reiterated, "We're better than that. I talked to Joe about it." He had mentioned something post-game, how he talked to Joe Brady about it and basically said, that's unacceptable. That can't happen. And a lot of fans were saying, well, yeah, when you have a guy like James Cook, who has been very successful, and you have a guy like Josh Allen, there's no need to be running an end around to your fifth receiver. And that was kind of the sentiment to go along with it. And obviously, when you lose 2 games in a row, when you have 2 uncharacteristically bad games on offense, the fans are going to come at you, and they're going to come at you hard. And we saw that after the Patriots game, and we really saw that after the Atlanta Falcons game. I mentioned James Cook in there earlier and in the open. James Cook had a very strange game because it was a slow start for the Bills. They couldn't really get the offensive running game solidified. The Falcons had lots of answers for them, but then they started to have a ton of success to open up the second half with James Cook really carrying their first and second drives out of the break. And then after that, we really didn't see him much, especially on third downs. One stat that came out was James Cook, his snap count on Monday night was just 52.6%, which was his second lowest of the season. His lowest was in a blowout win against the Jets, so it makes sense. They have more snaps where the game is out of control. They're not going to risk an injury to their best offensive player outside of Josh Allen by a large margin. And as per ESPN, Cook was not on the field for any of the Bills' 9 plays on third down or their 1 play on fourth down. That is absolutely ridiculous that James Cook, their best player on offense, their best weapon outside of Josh Allen, of course, and James Cook was playing a heck of a lot better than Josh Allen was in that Monday Night Football game, that you don't have him on the field in those big situations, and that is something that Joe Brady is responsible for. Now, Joe Brady has been in the news a lot this season, and not for negative reasons. They have been because he is considered one of the highly coveted head coaching prospects going into the 2026-27 NFL season. So at the conclusion of this year, a lot of people have said he is going to be the guy that most teams are going to try to hire as their next head coach. He probably deserved a job after last season, but it was such a deep group of head coaching candidates. We saw Ben Johnson from the Detroit Lions. He was the number one guy, and he ended up going to the Chicago Bears. They have had some success recently getting that offense going a little bit, and that has kind of been the trend of the NFL, where teams are hiring top-tier offensive coordinators to be their new head coaches. So that is why Joe Brady has really been the guy that teams are looking at. He was very successful with LSU. He was Joe Burrow's offensive coordinator that year that they won the national championship in remarkable fashion. And now he's come to the Buffalo Bills and has made this offense, along with Josh Allen, consistently a top 2 offense in the NFL year after year. They have struggled these past 2 games, and that is where some question marks have come into play. But I do think that this is probably going to be a small sample size, and we will see this offense get back in the rhythm of things as the season continues. While we have seen these Joe Brady head coaching conversations, one new conversation came to light just a couple of days ago when James Franklin was fired at Penn State. Joe Brady is now projected to leave the Buffalo Bills to become the Penn State head coach next season. And this is massive news because obviously we've heard about the head coaching rumors for really a couple of years now. But him being now the front runner for that Penn State head coaching job is huge news for not only Penn State, not only the future of the Buffalo Bills, but for Joe Brady himself, because a job like that, at a school like that, where they have consistently been a top 25 school in the country for about a decade now, and going back, the past 3 to 5 years, they've been a top 10 team in the country, where this year they came into the season as a top 3 team. So if Joe Brady does get that job, that is massive for him in his career. And obviously Bills fans there will be mixed feelings about him leaving the Bills, but you have to certainly tip your cap. He's going to be making a heck of a lot of money if he does land that gig. A lot of people have pointed to his ties with the athletic department there, and that is why he is now the projected favorite, just surpassing Matt Rule recently. But let's get back to the topic of the Buffalo Bills and this weird coaching beef or not beef that we may have now. As we look at this quote from Sean McDermott, we saw about Joe Brady being a great play caller, but it came down to this as well, talking about how it has been too hard on the quarterback. And Sean McDermott you see in this quote that it was too hard for the quarterback. It doesn't need to be that hard all the time. He was talking about the wide receivers, or rather, it was a question asked about the wide receivers, but I interpreted it as almost a diss on Joe Brady as well, saying it's more than just our receivers and tight ends that need to get open. Our play caller has to put them in a position where they're using their weapons in the appropriate way. Khalil Shakir, so the Falcons were blitzing against the Buffalo Bills more than they have really ever. And we see this stat by James Cook. He was not on the field very much. He was not utilized in the Packs game at all, did not get a single target. And you would think that Joe Brady would want to incorporate his guys that are so great with yards after catch. Khalil Shakir leads the entire NFL in yards after catch. He is a weapon with the ball in his hands in open space. He had just 3 catches in the game. That has to be different against a team in the Falcons that are blitzing so free. As we see this number here, according to Next Gen Stats, the Falcons blitzed Josh Allen 56% of his dropbacks, the highest blitz rate he's seen in a game since the 2021 season. So it's been 4 years since he's seen a blitzing attack like this. And the only times in Josh Allen's career that he has been sacked 4 times have been against the Falcons and against the Jets twice. In those 3 games, there was one common denominator, and that was Jeff Ulbrich was the defensive coordinator, and we know how aggressive he can be. And if we don't, he is one of the more blitz-happy coaches in the entire NFL. So this is something that Joe Brady should have been ready for. He should have known, hey, this is going to be an opportunity for us to draw up some screen passes to James Cook, draw up some screen passes to Khalil Shakir, get these guys in some open space and see what they could do with the ball in their hands. I think Joe Brady certainly wants that opportunity back to draw up those plays, and I know Sean McDermott has higher expectations for Brady as a coach. Now, the other part of the coaching question marks we have is people were asking Sean McDermott after the game, is it time to stop letting defensive coordinator Bobby Babich make the play calls? And Sean McDermott, I think, surprised some people because we have seen him take defensive coordinating play calling duties away from his defensive coordinator in the past. He did so with Leslie Frazier back in 2023 when he took over the play calling. I would not be surprised if in the coming weeks he does so with Bobby Babich, but he said this. He said he has not even considered taking over play calling duties from Bobby Babich. He said he has a lot of confidence in Bobby Babich and thought they did good things in the second half, which is fair. They only gave up 3 points in that second half. I think he deserves some more wiggle room than what fans are wanting from the Bills. I mean, the Bills fans for the most part, and I see your comments on these videos. You guys want Sean McDermott fired, and you guys absolutely have that right to feel that way. There are times I feel that way as well. I'm speaking solely with the idea that they are not going to fire him mid-season unless something drastic happens. They're 4-2. They're not firing him anytime soon. Maybe at the end of the season if they, get eliminated in the first round. I don't see it any other way. But I'm surprised that he defended Babich a lot more than he defended Joe Brady. So maybe part of that is because of these rumors coming out that Joe Brady is, heading to leave Buffalo in the near future. Maybe behind the scenes, maybe he's checked out a little bit. I don't want to speculate on that stuff. We never know. From all accords, the players love Joe Brady. The team loves Joe Brady. The coaching staff loves Joe Brady. There shouldn't be a question mark there. But when you're the Buffalo Bills and you've been so successful these past 5-6 years, there's going to be higher expectations, and 2 losses in a row, the way they've happened, are not going to cut it for Buffalo Bills fans, and that is why McDermott is protecting his coaching staff and protecting Babich, his defensive coordinator, I think more than a lot of us Bills fans may like to see. Well, anyways, that'll be the end of this video. Tune in tomorrow for more Bills Digest content. Thank you so much, and we'll see you later.